All right. We started without the recording button, but now I'll say welcome. Today's April 3rd, 2025. And um, do you want me to just keep talking, Amy?
Mhm.
Okay, I got it. I'll keep talking. All right, so our agenda today, we've got, just a few things as usual, just a few things. So we're going to update you a little bit on the legislative agenda. I know a lot of people on this meeting might have been on the Monday meeting. So we'll keep it tight and also let you ask questions. Um, we'll get to the take action spreadsheet. It did go live on the 1st. So it is up and running and being shared out. We have our specific still because the spreadsheet might be too much. We're going to keep targeted actions. And so we'll go through our targeted actions for April and then talk about the school board project training that's coming up. We'll do any last minute questions on lobby days and then talk about AAUW California elections and updates from national. So that is the outline of your ride for today. And Amy and I are very committed to getting it in as efficiently as possible so that we have time to talk. But please do ask questions throughout as they arise. Right, so this is a slide that if you were on the Monday meeting that you probably saw. So remember, we'll share out the slides. So if you're not sure of where our legislative agenda and tracker is, then we've linked you directly to it here on the slide. So the legislative agenda is now set. The agenda this year, we set it with slightly fewer bills than we usually have because we're anticipating that a number of other bills will probably come our way throughout the cycle, just because of how the bills were introduced and a change to bill introduction and uptake this year. So please note that there will be other bills coming in and out. This year, we also started taking some opposition positions. So I'll talk about that in a second. So our top three priority bills are SB 771, social media platforms endangering Californians, which I've already gotten into a few deep conversations, we'll say, with some people who are feeling a little feisty about that one.
Mm.
Um, so that's outside of AAUW, by the way. I've gotten into those conversations. So that is one of our top bills. That one we're co-sponsoring as well. AB 579, Yaley's Law, we're opposing that bill. And SB 418, ensuring equal access to care for all, which is a support bill. And Amy, I don't think we're going into a deep discussion of these three bills here because if you can read more about them in Public Policy News, and I'm sure that many of you were on the call on Monday night and got some background on these bills. But if you were not, then you can read about them in the April issue of Public Policy News. And a lot of the bills on our agenda, there is a chunk of them that focus on protecting the rights of transgender people, non-binary people, the wider community. And we also put a piece that kind of mirrors. Amy asked me to take what I said on Monday night and turn it into a little article. And so if you were there Monday night, I tried to create an article out of what I said on Monday night. And that is, right, how and why we're standing up for the transgender community. So um, I can answer any questions or talk a little more about it if you have them now. But I don't want you to sit down and listen to me say everything I said Monday night if you're already there. So any questions before we go on to the next bit?
I was kind of surprised that we decided to do essentially 3 transgender bills and not really anything that involved education. I would like to see the tallies of the numbers that you, when you tallied up the bills, because I was actually surprised we are not doing anything with education at all.
We are doing our, so we have another A bill, but it came on late,
Johnny,
so we're not doing it for lobby day.
hello.
So we're not doing it for the lobby day, but that is the bill that is the Title IX Pregnancy and Parenting Bill. We're not lobbying for that bill, but that is on our A bill list, and that's because KVO agreed to have it on our list because we did an opposition bill. So we do have an education bill that is on our top list, and SB 771 is not a trans rights bill. That's a hate speech bill.
I am actually, I just want to see the numbers and how they tallied up,
Mm-hmm.
because I do feel like we should have had at least something more educational, you know.
And to your point, Donna, we do. We're just not we don't have it on the lobby day agenda because we didn't want to have you all attempting to lobby for 4 bills on lobby day. And that one came on to our agenda after we met with the office to make sure that they would incorporate the language that we asked them to incorporate. And it was too late to put it on our lobby days slate. So I believe it's 1098. Is that the bill number? Amy is nodding.
Yes, yep,
Yes.
it's a Mike Fong.
Mike Fong, it's a Title IX adjacent bill. It's an extension of the Title IX bill that we advanced as an A bill last year that basically asks universities to take a look at their pregnant and parenting policies so that they're not accidentally basically in giving someone leave, making it financially impossible for them to continue to be a student and sustain themselves if they take a leave of absence due to parenting. So, I will get you the tally sheet, but that's Amy and I also work with KVO to establish some of our co-sponsored bills that then we don't vote on because we have advanced them with the legislative advocate.
Yeah, that's the case for SB 771, which
Mhm.
is one where the author's office approached AAUW California and asked us if we would be willing to be a co-sponsor on that bill. And we agreed to do so because we felt that it was really important at this moment, given the decisions that the social media platforms are making to remove content moderation. And this is an important bill to protect vulnerable communities from violence.
Mhm.
And Donna, it's not that one is not a trans rights bill. It's really about hate speech being brought to the doorstep of any vulnerable community or person.
Mhm. Yep. It's also a first in the nation bill attempting to regulate AI and social media, and so would be very good for AAUW and AAUW California if it advances. I saw some other
I saw,
hands.
I saw some other hands as well.
Yeah, I had my hand, it went away. My question is more of a strategy, and I'm playing with this. I have 2 Trump Republicans that I'll be presenting the information to, right? They're representing my area, so obviously they're Trump. So I'm trying to, I know they're not going to be, angry or whatever, but I'm trying to do it in an effective way. And what I was wondering, would it be best to put the opposition in the middle of the 2? In other words, I'm juggling it around, showing this is where we're supporting opposition and ending with another support. And is there anything else you can advise me on this? Because these are definitely not going to be people who are on our side, but I'm going to be focusing on equal rights and that kind of thing, rather than go into specifically things that are buzzwords for them, like DEI words or whatever. So Melissa, Missy, and Amy, any ideas of how to handle this? Because that's going to be my full day. Because the third one, I'm not sure. I haven't gotten any response whether we are seeing that person, which I would love to do because it's a Democrat in San Pedro where my son lives and he knows the person because my son is very active in the Democratic Party there. I would love to end my visit with this uplifting, great feeling. But what strategies should I use?
So I would suggest that that if you're talking about AB 579 and SB 418, that exactly as you said, Sina, that focusing on equal access and equal protection is probably where you want to start. If you look at this issue of public policy news, the way that I wrote up my statements might also be useful, especially the last paragraph, which talks about, how this is actually a gender issue. And it's like, this is a gender issue, so it impacts me too, right? Is a
Sure.
good way to kind of talk through it because it's a lot harder for people to historically a lot of research shows that it's really hard for people to come at something like this really hard if you say this impacts me too, right?
Mhm.
So that's
Okay.
going to be particularly useful for 418. For 579, I would talk about the need to be the voice for all kids, and that all kids need to have that kind of that kind of advocacy, because what this bill would do would be just remove that kind of a third party advocate from those kids so that they would no longer have that kind of advocacy, and that's what I would focus on.
Okay.
Amy?
Amy, any ideas?
Yeah, I think in both of them, you can talk about the scientific research that shows that these gender affirming care for the youth and the support in the home for these young people are really important, and not having those things can really have extremely harmful impacts to them, and just explain to the offices that that's what we're concerned about, is being protective of these young people. And then at some point, I don't think that you're going to get a lot of pushback
I
in
don't
most
either.
cases from them. But if you do, you can just say, this may be an area where we may not be able to come to an agreement, but this is the reason why AAUW is, believes in what we're, in why it's important to support these bills. And then tell them that your office is really important, and we really want to be able to work together with you in the future on some other bills where we can, come together and work together.
I think there's going to be the staff that I'll be talking to, and they're probably going to be more reticent as far as comments or whatever. So that in one sense is a little easier for us, but I would love to get a hold of, speak to the actual legislator. Yeah. But I think I'm not anticipating, I don't think that the staff member is going to be aggressive. That would be so not, but thank you. So, and if that other third person, I will probably know it on when we meet on that morning.
Hopefully the meetings come through tomorrow, but yeah, sometimes they come through like the day before, which
Okay.
is very nerve-wracking, but that's how it goes sometimes.
Okay. Thank you.
Did I see other hands?
Yes, from me, Elaine Peterson from San Jose. So I have a question about SB 771.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at it earlier and I thought I saw something in there about it would only pertain to social media platforms making over $100,000, $100 million. No, it had to be $100,000. So it had, but it was over a certain amount of money.
Mhm.
Can you, that seems targeted.
It's so the bill is looking to it's basically trying to get the social media platforms that have removed their content moderation and basically handed it over to AI, which tends to be the social media platforms that make over $100,000. And so it's not necessarily like targeting, it's just thinking it is targeting the AI, right? Because if you have content moderation that's done by humans, then this bill wouldn't pertain to that. But if you have content moderation that's done by AI, this bill does pertain. Does that answer your question, Elaine?
Yeah, are there others besides Meta that do that, besides Facebook?
Yes. So a lot of them have started using, a lot of the big platforms have started using AI for content moderation,
Okay,
because it is more affordable than humans.
okay.
X,
right.
for example.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
that's
Okay, thank you.
no problem. Those all the hands I saw? All
So are you
right,
ready to move to the next one?
I am. And we could, all right, so these are the questions that we had at the beginning. Amy, do you want to stop sharing and I will show everyone, give everyone a little walkthrough of this spreadsheet? So now you can only see 3 of my tabs instead of the 80 tabs I have open. So this is how the Take Action spreadsheet has kind of developed. So I'll give you a walkthrough of the main page, so that if you haven't played with this or tried it out yet, that it should give you a good sense of how to use it. So we have 3 quick links here, and the quick links, everything that's a quick link takes you to one of the tabs at the bottom. Everything that's an issue area takes you to one of the tabs at the bottom. So if you want to navigate using the bottom, you can just click from tab to tab. If you want to go to DEI, you click on that tab, right? And you can go back to the home page, or you can click on the quick link and then use the back button, right? So whichever buttons you want to use, it'll navigate you between all of the different tabs. The quick links have actionable items, the current litigation and legislation trackers, and some podcast resources. The issue areas are just organizations that are working on things and issues per topic. So in each one, the topic is connected, it gives a small brief explanation, and it links the topic to our public policy priorities, which is why we selected the topics that are here. The other things that are on the main page are a collective action spotlight. So something that is successful. So this is the one I put up here when we were as we're developing this out. This is one that I'm going to shift around a little. And I, again, will move things in and out when I can. But just to highlight some of the successful collective action and pushback that works, as I said, right, to give us all hope, but also tell us how we might organize for maximum impact, where it works and where it doesn't. I would have put some really good groundwork about the Wisconsin campaign up here, but we are nonpartisan, and so I did not. So I also am selective about some of the collective action. Successes in legal challenges. Here I had the federal judge's ban or block on Trump's ban on transgender service members. And I linked you to the article about it, and then the different topic areas that it connects to. And then this is also what's in PP News this month, a call to action spotlight here on opposing the SAVE Act. But I will update that as things arise and what we want you to do. Frequently asked questions down here. This is important for all of you. Who should I contact if I have suggestions? Here's a link to a form. If I click on it, you'll probably see the back end, but this takes you to a Google form that asks you, do you have a link? Do you have a resource? Is there something that you want us to put on this tracker to promote that you think people should know? Then this is a form that you can fill out, and you can always email us at Public Policy. And these are the rest of the FAQs. So that is a basic walkthrough of the tracker. I will also note that we're building out our petitions on ResistBot, which is here, right? So SB 418 is up here. We already have 25 signers, and I set it up yesterday, so that is great. And AB 89, we had listed prior to, and it was blocked. So that one was actually, right, it's dead now, and that's what we suspect is going to happen to some of the other opposition bills. So that is a brief walkthrough of the tracker. Of the call to action spreadsheet. Do you have any questions about it?
I have a quick question. How did you get to that second page? Missy, was it not from the first page?
Oh, that one I had open already. But,
But how did you get there?
but let me see. I think I connected it to, I did. Okay. So I'll take you back to the tracker and show you
Yeah,
how to get
thank you.
there from the tracker. So it's on the Take Action Now page. So if we're at the home page and you click on quick actionable items, right here it says ResistBot, AAUW of California,
Oh, okay.
and it'll take you right here, right? And so I keep that updated. There'll be 2 more updates in the next week as I put our A bills on there. Then the following week, when we get the fact sheet from Fong's office, we'll have our other A bill up there. So those will go up first, and then I'll do the Bs, and then I'll start working my way through the Cs on the petitions page on ResistBot. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. We didn't put this up here, but we also have a Blue Sky account, so I'll stop sharing and pop that up while we're talking about all of our action resources. Laura?
How do you get to the spreadsheet you were just showing, that Take Action to Fight Project 25? Where's that? How do you get to that?
So we put it in the Public Policy News, and I'm going to drop the link.
Is it going to be in the new newsletter? It hasn't, or has it already been out?
It's in the one that did the news go out today.
It just came out earlier today, a couple hours ago.
Okay. Because somebody put a link to the draft, and I didn't know if that was the final one or not. But
That's a problem with the way it's titled. It's actually the real one. I need to
okay.
figure out how to get that word draft off of there. Sorry about that.
Okay, that's okay. So that it's in that newsletter. Okay, that's all I needed to know. That's cool.
Yeah.
I knew you said you were getting ready to, and I just didn't know. So that's when you said it was live today. You meant it when emailed today too. So that's awesome. Okay.
And I will go ahead, Joy, and then I'll show you all Blue Sky.
And I'm sorry, just one other thing. I did have a question. I stopped doing ResistBot because it doesn't have my information correct. Like it has my wrong legislator. So do I go into ResistBot and like edit do I have a profile that I can edit, or what? Because it has me, or maybe I'm just misunderstanding how it works.
No, if it should link to your phone number, and I'll get you if you ping them and you have a problem, they'll fix it. They do have humans working for them, even though they're a bot. And I bet I can find that pretty quickly and send it to you. But I had a problem with something with them, and I just sent them a message, and they got it fixed.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
All right, go ahead, Joy.
Well, I just figured it out from the from from your screen sharing there. I was on ResistBot and I just kept getting all these messages from some other organization that I had, I guess, signed a petition for. And I couldn't figure out how to get to the AEW stuff, but it just showed on your screen that you have to type in follow AEW California in order to get the AEW actions. So I just did that and they just sent me all of those. So
Fantastic.
thanks.
No problem. And I dropped the support@ResistBot email in the chat. So I'll think about that. If I can remember, I'll add it on Public Policy News too when we here, I'll put it in a note so that if you are having any issues that you can send them a message. Like I said, it's a bot, and so sometimes it does make mistakes because it's a bot. So you just have to let the humans know to fix the bot. Any other questions or comments? All right, I'll show you our last highlight is we have a Blue Sky account. So AAUW Public Policy now has a Blue Sky account. You can see this is the back end. So I control the Blue Sky account right now, and we decided to do this with the blessing of the board, in part because it has a ResistBot integration. And so what ResistBot, once your petitions get a certain number of signers or your group gets a certain number of followers, ResistBot pushes it out and gives you free advertising on Blue Sky. And so we decided to make a public policy account so that we could amplify it this way, and we could benefit from the ResistBot integration because they'll be pushing stuff out for us too as we get lots of signers and followers, hopefully, fingers crossed. But that was the idea. So if you do have a Blue Sky account, follow us, and that'll be another way to get ResistBot updates and other updates. I think that's all of my updates there. Any
I have one
questions?
que- How do you log on to, I don't have an account. How do you, once you go to Blue Sky, can I find you?
You'll have to make an account on Blue Sky. It's just another, it's a healthier social media platform.
Yeah, and then I find you on Blue Sky.
And I gave you a how-to in this month's Public Policy News too. for Blue
Perfect.
Sky.
Okay, thank you again.
No problem. All right, so as we saw on the Take Action resource, our this is also in Public Policy News, our ask for April. And let me step back and just say again, we're giving you targeted action because I know we gave you a spreadsheet with a lot. And so if that's too much, then we are still going to continue to send out targeted action each month. This month, it is the SAVE Act. So, and the SAVE Act and all of the voter ID, renewed fervor for voter ID laws that are making their way through both Congress at the federal level and that have been proposed in California. So protect voting rights is our ask this month, and we have kind of tiered it into things that you can do as an individual. And this is just a reminder that you can't do all the things, right? That we all have to do a little bit, that we can't do everything. And that even you kind of learning more about things is a form of action. So we give you things that you can do for yourself, learning more about the SAVE Act, learning more about what's happening in California, at least what's been proposed and has started to move through committees, which is California's version of the SAVE Act, AB 25. And then learning more about impacts of these kinds of challenges. Other focused, it's really important to just talk to people. So we can give you things that are formalized, but also other focused action is just telling 2 or 3 people, right, something about it, or telling 2 or 3 people or connecting with them about the actions that they can do, especially right now when people feel very demoralized, right, and really feel kind of lost about the different things that they can do, or maybe they don't feel comfortable going to protests, right? Then what are other things that people can do that have tangible impact? And sometimes that just means talking to each other. And sometimes that means giving other people the ideas that you might have about things that they can do to oppose, right? Or to stand up. And then politically focused outreach. We gave you outreach to legislators this month. National has a 2-minute activist that is opposing the SAVE Act federally. And we also gave you a watch on AB 25. And why did we give you a watch? Because that has not made it out of committee yet. And we also didn't want to give you a whole nother packet of things to do for legislative action this week for California. But I'd say watch AB 25. We'll also be watching it, and if it starts to move, then you'll see something pop up on ResistBot to connect with your legislators about AB 25 to oppose it actively. Would love to see a whole bunch of people show up at a committee meeting like they did with AB 89 this week to kill it in committee. So that's what we gave you this month. Any questions or comments? Okay. So Susan, all right, I see Melanie has one, and then I'll address Susan Carlin's in the chat. Go ahead, Melanie.
Okay. The public policy news, I'm not sure how far that goes. It goes to me and to the president and maybe our board. It doesn't go to all members, right?
That's correct. And Amy, were you
Yeah.
talking? Okay, go ahead.
Well, in addition to the presidents and the public policy chairs, we also copy the newsletter editors so that they can pull those newsletter articles for, the branch newsletters the following month. But one thing that we are, please feel free to forward it to anybody. We would love to have it shared out more widely. And it is posted on the public policy page of the website. So you can find the latest copies and the archives of all of the newsletters there. And one thing that we've been talking about with the web team is to set up like an opt-in system so that anybody around the state who wants to opt in and receive a copy can do so. The state communications team has been reluctant to just send it out to all the members because a lot of people experience email fatigue. So we're trying to figure out a way to do like an opt-in system for it.
That sounds good. And I was just wondering because I write the public policy article for our monthly newsletter, and I wanted to make sure I wasn't being repetitious, but there have been times when I've had our editor put in some of the links, so that they can take action. So I can see,
we do copy them.
I can see doing that for this coming in for the May newsletter on this piece that we're looking at here.
Excellent. And Susan, so Susan asked, how do we copy and paste the AAUW California news article so we can reduce the length to fit in our branch newsletter? And so we have the actual NL articles have a copy that can be modified, but not all of them do. But if you open it as a PDF, then you should be able to pull the actual text from the PDF into a Word document. At least I can do that from PDF to Word. Or you can also transfer a PDF into a Word document if you want to modify. So that would be one way that you can modify and shorten things that aren't linked out. But the newsletter articles should all be linked out to a Google Doc, so that should be easy also to pull and modify as needed. And thank you, OG. Sharon?
Okay.
Right, sorry, Sharon had their hand up and then.
Yeah, I lowered it because my question was that if people email public policy at AAUW California, can they ask to be getting the public policy newsletter?
Speak to the communications team. Right now, that's not the way it's set up because I think that they have like a set email
They have a
list
listserv,
of
yeah.
presidents and public policy chairs and newsletter editors. So I don't think that individuals can be added to that, you know, what they're doing. That's why I think that we need to figure out how to do this opt-in system.
Exactly. Thank you.
I mean, we can brainstorm it. I have an idea, but
Laminated papers with emergency contacts on them at each cubicle.
Myra?
Myra, did you have? your
Yeah, I
hand?
had a question. Do you have, I know there's always copyright laws, but do you have a problem in me transferring that slide to our newsletter? The way it is?
No.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure I was not stepping on anybody's toes.
No. We do this for you. No, this is not a copyright issue.
Okay, I come
at all.
from academia, so it's like,
I
okay,
I
want
hear
to
you.
get your permission.
I hear you, but all of this is for you. So,
Thank you.
please take it and
Thank you again.
no problem. Right. So, this is you, Amy, yes?
Yes, so
Okay,
we have
fine.
more take action things for you. This one is related to kids in school. And, you know, we've had a lot of AAUW members that have come to us expressing their concerns about the potential for ICE raids on campuses. This is already happening in some places, and some of the ramifications of it is that parents are afraid to show up at school events. Students are afraid to go to school because they're afraid that their parents are going to be taken away during the time that they're at school. And kids are just not able to learn under this environment of constantly being gripped by fear that ICE agents are going to be coming onto campus to take them away. It's a really terrible situation. So I know that many of you want to do something and take action. Two things that you can do: urge your local school boards or school districts to issue a safe zone resolution. And you can find a template for that here. It's linked on the slide, and we can put that into the chat. And also you can engage your branch members in a postcard writing campaign and write to your school boards and let them know that we stand with immigrant students and we stand with LGBTQ plus youth. There's a full article that has more detail that's in the public policy news, so you can check that out in the newsletter. Any questions on this? So the school board project is now entering a new phase. First of all, thank you very much to everybody who responded to the school board project survey that we sent out in February. We had great response. 272 people responded. That represented 97 branches. And of the people that responded, we heard from 59 branches who said that they have school boards whose majority is aligned with AAUW values. However, there are 16 branches that said that they have school boards that are not aligned with our values. So the school board project is now entering a new phase. We're encouraging our members to monitor and observe their local school boards and make sure that they are complying with California's protective laws. So this is great news. AAUW California is now partnering with an organization called the Public School Defenders Hub. They work to reduce the impact of anti-public school extremists, and they provide a lot of resources and training to help people around the state to combat the extremists that are out there. So Public School Defenders Hub is creating a customized training for AAUW on how to be a school board monitor and observer. And they're going to be presenting that training to us on the evening of April 24th, 6:30 to 8 p.m. So there is a registration link. It's here, and it's also in the public policy newsletter. So please register and please join us. And please be a school board monitor and observer. Any questions or comments?
I saw Joy's hand.
So I was just late in putting up my hand. It was a comment about the immigration in with schools. We have an annual event at the Fallbrook Elementary Bilingual School, May Ellis. And normally they get about 200 family members there, both students and parents. And this year they only had about 25% of people show up because there was a fear, because it was on a Saturday. So there was a fear that ICE agents would show up for that. And there have been parents who have been detained when they've gone for their check-in interviews and who are currently being detained now. So there's, and then I've heard other people who say gardeners, they won't leave Fallbrook
Hello?
because they're afraid to go out on the highway where they're
Hello?
going to get picked up.
Hello?
So there's definitely a high level of fear in this area.
Oh, that's so sad. Thanks for sharing, Joy.
I'm gonna drop red cards in the chat, and that's, you know, that is awful. And I put some red cards in there. Just, we have been posting them everywhere. I think it's illegal to do this on Cal State campuses now, but we've been so shh, don't tell it's recorded, right? But we've been plastering them everywhere. Because it's just I mean, the point is fear, and I'm sorry to hear that that's the case in your area too.
Any other questions on this before we move on? Hey, we already had a pretty robust conversation up at the beginning about Lobby Day. I'm looking forward to seeing you all next week and wanted to give you an opportunity if you have any other final questions about the event.
I'm sorry to be jumping around, but I just saw a link, a question in the chat about the previous slide. Can we take a 1 second, go back? And the question was, who did the surveys go out to?
The survey went out to our entire membership in California. So it went out to like 9,000 people.
All right. Thanks, Amy. Sorry to backtrack. Cassie, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to say that Amy and Kathy gave us a special briefing because we're going to be meeting with the legislator who's carrying the bill that we oppose. And a couple of very helpful suggestions were made, one of them being to familiarize ourselves with the member's biography before we go there. And I think that helps to open the conversation. And sorry, I'm blanking out on the other thing that you mentioned that was very helpful, but we really appreciated it. We've got our meetings tomorrow.
Nancy, I think that your suggestion in that meeting to start off by asking the assembly member the reason why she decided to author the bill, I thought that was great to give her the opportunity to say, here's why she is, standing for this before we jump in to say, here's why we're opposing it. So I thought that was a nice
because it's
suggestion.
kind of awkward to have to walk into somebody's office and say we're against what you're doing. So yeah, we appreciated the framing of it as a conversation rather than, and also suggesting that we let her know that we're willing to work with her on legislation that we can support. So I think those are really positive ways to have that conversation. So thank you again.
So is there a gravy for this?
Thanks, Cassie. Any other questions regarding Lobby Day?
How many members are actually signed up to do Zooms, Amy?
105, I think.
Okay, thank you.
So I have a request for everybody here on the call. It turns out I was surprised to find out that we are completely out of our public policy priority informational cards state. So I am trying to scrounge up the copies that I can get my hands on. Does anybody here on the call have extra cards that you can help us out with for Lobby Day next Tuesday?
I'm Jean Dell. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Jean.
I just, the cards that you're talking about, I think are the ones for 23, 25 priorities.
Yeah,
And
it's these
you
here.
have
Yes.
listed online the changes for the 25, 27 priorities that we have not yet voted on.
Correct. The ones
You-
that we are going to be sharing out with the offices next week are our 2023, 2025 cards. The actual, the physical cards that
Right,
this one right here.
Would it be worthwhile to, well, I'm introducing to the board tomorrow the changes that you have indicated, which aren't a great deal. But is that all right to go ahead and use the new ones that we have not yet actually certified as far as member votes?
No, because they're not our official
Okay,
public
that's
policy
fine.
priorities yet. And
Okay.
we will make cards for the new ones sometime in July.
Where do
Okay.
you want them sent, Amy? I have a bunch.
Oh, Sharon, that's wonderful. I'll ping you after this with my
Okay,
address.
that's great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mhm.
And I only have a few, a handful. I don't know. If it's-
Melanie, you're coming on
I
Tuesday,
have
right?
some. Yeah, I'm coming. So
Can you
just-
bring what you have?
Okay. All right.
Thank you. And does anybody else have extras on hand?
Well, we have some that we meant to give to at our last meeting, but we were gonna do it at our next meeting because the person forgot to bring them. But I'm not sure. Sina, you're going up there, right?
Yes,
Do you
I
think
am.
do you think we could get these to you?
Sure. Yeah.
That's
We could
great.
meet somewhere. So why don't you give me a call, Joy, and we'll figure out the logistics of it.
Okay, yeah, Margot Dockin actually has them,
Are
but
are you marching at all on Saturday?
I'm not, no.
Okay,
but the-
if anyone is, then I'm gonna be, Marietta is having a march, so it's really close.
Oh, okay, I'm not,
I'll let-
Okay,
I don't know if
Thank you. I'll
anybody-
let you guys work that out, but thank you so much. That's
Okay,
so
okay.
helpful.
And in a
And-
pinch, you could also print out a QR code that goes to the thing, and you could leave the QR code there. It's not as pretty,
Yeah.
but if they had the QR code, then they could scan it and they could go to the actual image on the website, and that might be a workaround if you can't get enough cards.
Perfect. Thanks,
And
Missy. That's a
planning
great idea.
ahead, Amy and Missy, you might want to consider how many you printed this time and for a future
Yes.
scenario.
We didn't have enough budget to print any more.
Yeah,
I
we're
know.
probably not going to have enough budget next year either.
I
Like to ask
know.
for donations for cards. Okay, so Missy, was this going to be me or you? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
This is, I think it's you.
Okay,
Over
we'll go
to
with
you, Missy.
We'll go with me. All right. So, as we were just focused on, it's election season. So, we're voting for board seats and public policy priority updates. As you know, thinking about public policies, so the PPP updates. These are the changes that we, sent out a survey in the fall. I can't remember how many people responded to this. 900, was that right?
Yeah, I think it was around 600 or 900, something like that.
So we took into account all of the feedback, and to the point that was raised earlier, there weren't a lot of changes, and that's in part because What you'll see is what you're voting on here are the changes that that were requested that were incorporated into the actual PPPs. The public policy priorities as a document are what drive kind of our legislative and other kinds of action. Some of the requests that we got were incorporated by creating basically, in a parallel to national, principles and clarifications document. And so what you'll see here that we're voting on the PPPs, I'll go through in a second, but once these are approved, you'll see them embedded in a revised website that has some clarifications and that sets out the kind of what we stand for. So for instance, we always get a lot of requests when we when we talk about all women, right? We always get a lot of feedback and requests about adding every historically marginalized group that we stand for. And so the principles document says we stand for, right, all women, and by all women, we think about intersectional identities and the different ways that people are historically marginalized. And that's kind of the context in which our PPPs are created and applied. So I wanted to let you all know that will launch, I believe, next month. We need to meet with the committee. And as a few folks on this call said, you're doing a lot of AAUW stuff right now. So we're giving the committee a breather after lobby day. And then we're going to come back and finalize the changes to the website. So you'll look for that change coming up. But that I wanted to make sure that we let you know that if you don't see something that you specifically wrote in about with a PPP change, we took it seriously and it probably made it into our principles if it did not make it into the PPPs.
The only other thing that I would point out is that in this election, we're also going to be asking members to vote on a raised dues structure for AAUW California. And we
Yes.
need a quorum to be supportive.
Thanks, Sharon.
Mhm.
So the changes to PPPs that we have here,
Sorry.
no, that's okay. So that's all right. We changed we only changed under 2 pillars, and one change was to the Title IX pillar. And one of the reasons, the Title IX statement, and part of the reason that we did this, we added which protect against discrimination on the basis of sex in any educational programs or activities, is we laid out what Title IX provisions that we were supporting because of the federal changes to the Department of Education and the potential use of Title IX to do things that historically we would not support because of the interpretation of DEI and discrimination federally that is a bit tenuous at the moment. So we changed the way that this is phrased so that we could continue to do the work that we have historically done around Title IX at the state level. The second point, we changed removal of barriers to increase support for and protection of. The change from removal of barriers to increase support and protection is based on where we have in the past few years supported legislation and where we think our support is best used. And that is in protecting. There's an increasingly robust set of programs now for access to STEM fields that is targeting historically marginalized groups, including girls. And so we want to make sure that we can protect and support those, especially again with in educational settings, some federal targeting of anything that has the word women in it as potentially harmful DEI.
Mitzi, can I ask you a question? What is STEM? What is that acronym? STEM?
So this is the acronym that is that's used for what is the S? Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Thanks.
No problem. So fields that have historically had been very gender segregated in terms of access and advancement, and what the programs that we support and protect is like creating a much more robust pipeline of women and girls getting into those fields that have been historically dominated by men, and supporting ways that that women and girls can feel like they belong there. Right. Okay. Next bullet, opposition of the use of public funds for non-public and charter schools that do not meet public school civil rights and accountability standards. Change to opposition to diversion of public funds to non-public elementary and secondary schools. So not just use, but now the rerouting of funds, is I think what the focus of this one was trying to target. So those are the changes that we made under education. Under social justice, we explicitly included in one of the focus areas, gender affirming care as part of equal access to affordable health care. And again, because we wanted to make it explicit, and this is something that is under attack. And we changed a guarantee of civil and constitutional rights for all forms of gender identity and expression in all family structures, to, after family structures, support for efforts to resist anti-immigrant policies which infringe on those rights, including protection of students from privacy violations and immigration raids on campus. And that was added, to make explicit the kind of desire of our members who responded, and our committee to make very clear that anti-immigrant policies are something that we do not support and that we want to actively oppose.
I have another question before you leave the slide. Has
Yep.
there been any, I know I've read about taking down advanced placement courses in high school. Is that being addressed at all, or is it safe in California? The advanced placement courses in high schools, or you don't know?
I personally have no idea. If anyone else here does, please let me know. I'm not great at K through 12 issues. That is not.
Oh, this is like high school. I
Yeah.
can check on it.
Missy, I think that what's happening to advanced placement courses, it was African American history and other kinds of
Okay.
ethnicity studies that are being attacked.
Okay, thank you.
And we did have, I don't know if that one made our agenda. Sorry, apologies, but we did have one at least that we were considering that was looking to better kind of create better standards for for courses that such as African American history in high schools. So that's not explicitly about AP, but it was about creating better standards for ethnic studies courses and potentially making them part of the high school curriculum. So Amy, I don't know if you remember if that made our CBIL list.
I do not remember.
Yep, it's right here.
No.
But if you are interested in that and knowing more about that, Myra, just send us an email and I'll at least tell you what the bill numbers were, because I know I have them on a list. All right. Okay, any other questions about the PPPs? All right, please go vote. And we put this in public policy news, but we wanted to highlight both that we appreciate having been able to do this for the past few years, and Amy and I are running again for the board. And the reason that we decided to both run for the board is in part because we want to make sure that if the budget for AAUW California continues to dwindle, that none of those funds, or that a non-significant portion of those funds don't get moved away from public policy, because we're concerned about public policy being able to continue to do the work that it does overall. So we both decided to run for the board again because we considered one of us being off board. You know, we appreciate the work that we're able to do and able to do for you, and we appreciate the funding that we get to do that work. And we want to make sure that at least that continues at a sustainable level.
You both are so wonderful. You are so amazing. So yes, know that we support you. You're just, you know, your leadership, your ideas, your being organized and getting us to do, you know, do things correctly, and all of that is so appreciated. So thank you.
And
In a week of bad news, this is good news.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
and accessible. You know, it seems like I'm always contacting Amy for something, and she's gets back to me really quickly.
Thank
So
you.
I would like to also point out that for AAUW California to remain viable, we are still missing a candidate for CFO. If we do not have one because we are a corporation, we will not be able to maintain our function. So if anybody knows anybody who's got some accounting or financial skills, please encourage them. We are considering the possibility of having to hire a part-time bookkeeper to take over some of these responsibilities that our current CFO has done this past year or two that she's been in her position. So I'm speaking as currently a non-board member, but I'm going to be one of your presidents elect, and we need this position filled. That's my ad.
Thanks, Sharon. And
Thank you.
That is
And-
also the case, yes.
Yeah. And we have 9,000 very smart women all around the state. There's got to be one that wants to be the CFO.
Or two, we could split the position because there's enough work that people could both figure out how to split the position, as you and Amy have done, Missy, and you guys have been remarkable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ginny, I see your
Ginny?
Yeah, I just want to add my kudos to both of you, like the others have. You know, I really think National could learn from you, and I think they should take more look at what we're doing out here, because I really see, you know, we're well into the 21st century with you guys.
Well, thank you.
You.
You know, National wanted to have the information from our website, but they don't have the bandwidth. It would crash their website.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, we did share the action spreadsheet, and we're with our fantastic interns. Next month, our drop for you is going to be a kind of a trans rights allyship guide, just like how to answer common questions that arise around these issues. That gives you kind of a guide for talking about things. We really wanted to have it before this month, but I need sleep sometimes. So it did not happen, but it's that drop. Don't worry, the issues aren't going to go away. So that drop will be next month. And you got kind of a preview in Public Policy News this month and talking about why we're supporting trans rights. But there'll be a bigger guide next month. And we're also going to send that out to National so that it can go out more broadly. All right. Amy, is this you? This is you.
I think so. I think this is me. So just some brief updates from National. There's not a whole lot to say here. I think we are all aware of how much animus there is right now at the federal level directed at higher education. And we had a meeting with National yesterday, and they really just kind of emphasized that this is why their focus needs to be on higher ed right now. You know, there's terrible things that are happening, like lots of people being fired at the Department of Education. And this really disproportionately affects all the work that they do to protect the civil rights of students. Funding for research at universities is being canceled. And Missy, maybe you want to say a little bit about this one.
I do. I did a webinar about this a few weeks ago, and I wanted to also just give some hope because this is all very dark sounding, but there's a lot of action going on. And I was telling Amy just this morning, I'm partnering with a folks that do fundraising for higher ed to teach them how to talk about DEI in ways that gets funding streams coming back into universities. They're pivoting. People are doing a lot of work on the ground with private entities. And, you know, I keep telling them, although it's kind of anathema to certain disciplines, I'm like, you need to partner with corporations who are also not jettisoning their DEI and are still doing a lot of work with communities. And so I just wanted to throw out there that like the media is still misrepresenting what's happening, especially in the private sector. And there's a lot of work on the ground to maintain what is even these funding sources for universities around, you know, the kinds of things that are being labeled as DEI, which is whatever they feel like in the moment. So.
Let me see. So there's an NPR interview that they mentioned in the national call yesterday about a Yale professor who is leaving the United States because of what's going on with defunding of the universities. So that's linked in here for you to listen to if you'd like. Next week, Congress is going out on recess, so it's a great time for you to meet with your congressmen when they're back in the home district. And let them know what you think about everything that's going on in Washington right now and how you want them to stand up to protect our rights. Cassie?
I was just going to say that is not a live link, but I'm sure you can Google that interview, but that link doesn't work.
Well, I think this is actually a link to the article, so it may not be a link to the interview.
What I mean is it doesn't, when you try to click on it in the presentation, in the slide, it's not live. But I'm sure you can find it by Googling it.
Okay.
Did you put it in the
can't click
chat?
on any of the links on the slides. They're just pictures.
Okay,
You have to have the actual PDF of the slide.
The link, I'm sorry, then where, okay, so you put the link up in the chat. I see it now.
I put it
Thank
in
you.
the chat, so it's all good.
Got it. Thank you.
No problem.
And then finally, something that National mentioned, I think that a lot of us are probably planning to go out in the streets tomorrow for these hands-off protests that are happening all around the country. And that's great. If you are going to go out there representing AAUW, National just wanted you to remember to keep your message nonpartisan. If you're going as an individual, you can have any message that you like, but if you are representing AAUW, keep it nonpartisan. And the suggestion was to say positive things like AAUW supports civil rights or supports university research or public education along those lines. But if you're going as an individual, you know, let it rip. And then I don't want to spend any time on this, but I just wanted to make you aware that National is posting on their website a lot of these coalition letters that they're joining and signing on to, as well as bills that they're endorsing and amicus briefs that they're joining. So there's a link in this presentation deck that links to the national website so that you can check out like what they're doing, month to month. And I think that's it. Any other questions or comments?
Laura?
I'm probably gonna get emotional here because I just get that way. But anyway, I'm not normally a public policy person, but our public policy person is on vacation this week, so I offered to take her place. And the work that the Public Policy Committee does is so astounding and so amazing. I don't think we would be where we are now as AAUW California without you folks. And I truly appreciate all the work you folks are doing. It is phenomenal.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. Now you're going to make me emotional. Thank you. That's I'm so touched.
And I will say that just a reminder that we do all this work for you. So this is so that we can all come together, and especially in this moment, I keep encountering people who feel so disempowered. And in this moment, that is exactly what all of this is designed to do. It's designed to make you feel afraid and alone and disempowered. And and Amy can attest to this. I don't get sad, I get angry. So I'm angry. So if you need to tap into my anger, then please do. But this is all for you and for us so that we can do this together, because we can, and there is a way forward. There always is.
And people should know that this is what we do. This is a very important aspect of how you can recruit members for
Absolutely.
branches that are.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sharon.
So Missy, I
can't say it
have
enough.
Missy, I have a new motto, and it says, "Don't get sad, get mad."
Yes, and with a lot of, and you should be sad, right? You can be sad and you should be sad. But I always tell all of my friends and anybody that come to me, I'm like, I'm not the person to help you process your sadness. I'm the person that when you're ready to get mad and do something about it, then come talk to me. And so I hope that my rage benefits you all. But please, like, that's what, email us if you need a resource. Like, keep telling us what you're doing. It makes everyone feel like they should, which is that there are so many people working so hard to make sure that our rights are maintained. So we thank you all for doing that work, because we need to do it together.
Absolutely. The branches are doing great public policy work, and we're so appreciative of everything that you all are doing out there, and we are here to support you. And I also want to give a shout out to our committee. We've got a great committee that is like, behind the scenes, they're doing all the good stuff. The school board project, helping out with the coordination of lobby days, public policy priorities that we just updated. There's a ton of work behind the scenes by this entire great committee that's happening. So, we're really appreciative of all of them.
And our great interns.
Oh, and the interns. Yes, the interns are amazing.
They are, but yes, everyone has jumped on board, and we're asking a lot of people, and so everyone is stepping up, and we couldn't thank you all more. Anything else on open agenda? Should we leave on the Love Fest? I'm gonna give you all some hearts. Let me find my reactions. Let's give you all some hearts. All right. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for letting us keep you. We'll see you in June, if not before, and we appreciate you.
And yes, and I hope to see most of you at Lobby Days next week. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much.
Make sure you get me your address, Amy.
Oh, I will. Thanks, Sharon.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.
Thank you.